What's up, Chamber One Tactical family? This is Connor and Joshua, and today we're going to be reviewing the Smith & Wesson Equalizer.
And what's really cool, guys, is this is the first gun we have that Connor can actually rack himself. Show him how you can do it, Connor. Oh, look at you.
Let's get into it.
All right, what's up, guys? So to start off with the Equalizer, we spent about how much on this one?
I believe it was $479.
$479 is what this gun is coming in with. And what you actually get with the gun, just real quick, is a 10-round magazine. We have a 13-round magazine, and they give you a third magazine that'll hold 15 rounds. So really, really cool that it comes with all that. And I've never seen this come with a gun. It comes with an uplula, which is typically, if you go buy one, they're going to be about $30 to $40.
Yep.
So great value in that. And this is what we use to load our mags with all the time. So now we have two because Connor always steals mine.
And he was talking about me having little girl grip strength. He has to use one of these.
I don't have to.
Uh-huh.
It's just more convenient. How did you use that when we were shooting these?
Maybe a little bit.
Oh, okay. Okay. Here, I'll let you start it.
All right. So, going into the first thing on the gun is the sights. So I didn't hate the sights, but I will say they're not my favorite setup at all. It's the 3-dot, white dot sights, and I'm not really a fan of the way that they did these. It was just something about these sights specifically got lost in themselves very easily.
Right.
And I don't know, there's a little bit of a tab right behind the set screw for the rear sight that almost covers your front sight when you actually get the dots lined up, which didn't really work out very well. Like I said, that's what partially what was making the sights get lost. So I didn't really like that. I do like that they have an optic cut.
Yeah.
So if this was something that I was going to carry all the time, I would probably, the first thing I would do would actually take the plate off and put me some kind of red dot on here and run it that way. But they're at least metal and they're adjustable, meaning it's a dovetail front and dovetail rear with a set screw. So they are adjustable, which is nice to see.
Yeah, and so I guess what we'll talk about is kind of what makes this gun special,
Yeah.
and that is how easy it is to rack the slide. And so I know I kind of joked with Connor earlier, but they make it super, super easy. And especially with the serrations that it gives you, with the front serrations, the rear serrations, and then, of course, that light recoil spring. And I guess the reason that it is so light is because they actually use an internal hammer as opposed to a striker. So that allows them to get that lighter pull weight. And so it makes it very unique and good for people that don't have super strong grip strength. So what you find a lot is maybe females that don't have as much grip strength, and you kind of see is it's hard for them to slide like a Glock 19 or something like that. And then they can grab this, and it's super easy for them. Or someone that's just getting a little bit older, losing some strength. This is makes it a lot easier for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. We'll kind of talk about real quick what this gun is. This isn't necessarily new, right?
Mm-hmm.
This has been done before by Smith & Wesson in the Shield EZ line. So they had the 380 and the 9mm, and we'll go ahead and be honest with you guys. This gun is actually our mother's gun. We picked it up for her because she had gotten so used to the Smith & Wesson Shield EZ 380 that we thought this would be a really good introduction to a 9mm for her, and with a little bit better, in my opinion, features and shootability. I think this is a little bit better for her, just with all the features that they've given you. So just kind of going over real quick the differences between the two, just in case you guys were wondering. This gun is coming in with front cocking serrations. The Shield EZs do not. And this one's optic cut. Those are not as well. And then the frame is a little different. They did a little bit more aggressive stippling on this, which I really ended up liking. And then the mags are very different. These are all going to be stack and a half, and the Shield EZ are single stack, which to me is the biggest difference and the best difference when talking about the Equalizer is the capacity. But moving on, we'll go over the finish. I think Smith & Wesson has always done a good job with their finishes. I think it's a great, very smooth, slick coating on here. going back to what you said about the cocking serrations, um, this is the first gun that we've actually been able to teach our mother how to press check. So very, very good to see that the cocking serrations are sharp enough to not damage her fingers, but that she can get a hold of and do a press check. And teaching her how to work this gun is very similar to the EZ, so it's very easy to get her to understand that. But I really like the ergonomics and everything about the serrations and the feel of the slide. I think they did a good job.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna talk about the one thing I don't like.
Okay.
Or there might be more than one, but we'll just go with that. That goofy back safety.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. You do notice it. So it's not like a 1911 where it just kind of forms around. This, you actually notice it right here in the meat of your hand. It's very annoying, and you have to engage it all the way for it to actually engage the trigger. So just keep that in mind. Which typically when we grab it, we're squeezing pretty hard, but it's just something else to go wrong. And if something can go wrong, it will go wrong. So a wise man once said that.
Right, and I'll so working in a gun store in the past, the EZs were always very popular in the ladies and even some of the older men who, like you said, grip strength goes away as you get older. So they were very popular for that reason. And I think what Smith and Wesson's doing, everything's got a purpose most of the time. But I think what their goal is they're looking at the end buyer, who's actually going to be purchasing these guns, and most of it's going to be new time shooters who don't know how to work the firearms as far as grip strength and everything. Ladies, older men that just don't have the grip strength, so they know who they're targeting for their target market. So I think it's good for someone who's going to be carrying in their pocketbook, which I don't always recommend carrying in a pocketbook.
Do you carry it in your pocketbook?
I do, yeah. I got a little pocketbook. But the goal there is just to have something that I think it's to have somebody feel more safe about carrying one in the chamber.
Maybe.
Because you can go ahead and rack one, and the trigger, if you guys look, is completely disconnected if you do not engage this little safety, and then it'll actually fire. Mm-hmm. So, I kind of understand it, but in our case, this is not going to be something that we're excited about. This would actually turn us away from buying the gun.
Right.
But that's just our opinion. Now, my mom, she loves the fact that it's got a little safety that she doesn't actually have to think about engaging or taking off technically. She can just pick up the gun naturally, and when she needs to go use it, it's ready to go bang. So for her, in her case, it's a great option.
Right.
Moving on to the slide release, I think they did a great job with it. Mm-hmm. It's very easy to get to. Again, this was a gun that our mom was able to drop the slide pretty easily, which is not usual for her because she's got long fingernails. So I was impressed with how she was able to work this gun and successfully. The gun that we did get does have the extra safety on it, so I could do without that.
Yep.
I don't really love a ton of safeties on the gun. I think if you've already got this back safety, then this is kind of overkill.
But that is an option.
Not it is an option. It's just the one we had, or the one that we got had this on here. So not something that I would necessarily shoot for, but especially already having a safety on there. But to each their own. At least they give you that option if that's something you're looking for. But
yeah, so I guess I'll talk about the trigger real quick. So with it being an internal hammer, it's actually a really good break. Not bad at all. You come to a clean wall, it breaks, and then the reset is a little lacking. Yeah. So you do have to come off of it quite a bit. And actually, even there, it didn't actually fully reset. I'm used to a striker fire pistol where you just barely have to rack it and it resets it. You have to go a pretty long way because it has to reset that hammer fully.
Yep.
But then the reset, you don't even feel it. It's very quiet. It's like a little click. It's not like pushing it out there. But it's not too bad. So overall, but the break is really good, especially like if you wanted to take longer shots. It's very precise.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. Just in messing with the gun, I noticed a couple times where it actually didn't feel like it was resetting for me, and it was because I didn't have this thing pushed in all the way. So, and I know I wasn't shooting the gun, but it is kind of grip specific. So that's something to think about. If you're actually using the gun and you may not have the best purchase on it, it may not go bang. You may have to reposition your hand or something. So I don't love the design in that aspect, but every time we went to shoot, when we tested this gun, it fired.
Yep.
So that's what I will say for the gun is when you actually needed it, when we were sitting there shooting it, we never had an issue with the trigger not going bang.
Right.
So very reliable gun, didn't have any issues with feeding or anything like that. It actually ended up being a very accurate pistol in my opinion. I think it shoots well, and like you said, the brake on the trigger, it's very good. I think it's probably as far. I mean, there's no take up, and it's just a clean, very crisp brake. So again, the reset's a little long, and you have to deal with that. But as far as the actual brake goes, I think it's an excellent little trigger. So pretty decent for $479.
Yeah.
And like I said, I love the stippling on it. That was one thing that I didn't like on the Shield EZ that they upgraded on this. The stippling is very, not aggressive, but it's very sticky. It grabs onto your hand very nice. So.
Yeah. And so I guess we'll just finish off by saying, like, kind of who would we recommend this gun to? Because I can honestly say this is not a gun for me.
No.
But with that being said, it's a gun that I see other people wanting.
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying that this gun doesn't have a place. It doesn't have a place in my gun safe, but it definitely has a place in my mom's gun safe, right? She shoots it pretty well.
Very well.
Yeah, very well. And it's just, me and Connor, we like to push ourselves to get faster and faster with shooting, follow-up shots, and transferring with targets. And this one kind of holds us back a little bit. Just with the longer reset, it does good long range as far as just taking precision shots because it's got a good trigger. But for me personally, I would not purchase this gun. But maybe me when I'm starting to get older, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, you never know. I might have a long life.
You won't live that long.
Probably not. But, this might be a gun for me in the future where I'm starting to slow down and I can actually rack this. Because a lot of those tiny micro guns that we have, they're really tight to rack. And that's really what you want to see in a concealable gun is a real small gun, but then you can't rack it,
Yeah, I mean, if you would have asked our mom to rack this slide back on the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus Performance Center, ain't no way. Yeah. It was not going to work.
Right.
Not a lot to purchase as far as the actual surface area of the slide, and it's a pretty tight gun.
Yep.
So it would not work with
And
her.
by no means are we saying that this is a girl gun.
No,
by any means.
No.
But
in fact, my wife's grandfather, this not the Equalizer, but the Shield EZ, which I think either one is a good option. Don't get me wrong. Either one, you're going to pay a little less for the Shield EZ. You're just not getting all the updated, features with the Shield EZ. You are getting with the Equalizer. But he bought the 380 and he loves it. And to be honest with you, that's the only gun that I've seen him shoot well that's controllable. And same thing with our mom. She had a Taurus 38 special revolver that she couldn't shoot very well. The trigger wasn't great for her. Where this gun, she shoots it well, and
it's got a lot better
option.
capacity.
Yeah.
This is one thing I appreciated because I don't like single stack stuff personally, and just being able to get with the flush fit mag 10 rounds, they did a good job with that.
Yeah. So I mean, I wouldn't have a problem carrying this gun. Like you said, I don't see myself going out and buying one of these for myself. But I wouldn't have a problem carrying it if that's what I had. And I would 100% recommend it to someone who doesn't have the grip strength. If the main thing is being able to work the gun that you got. So if you can't rack a slide back on something that you may think looks cooler, then this is the way you need to go because it's very easy to use and all of the features are very simple. There's not really a ton to think about. And as you guys know, if you're in a situation where you may have to use one of these things, you really don't want to have to be thinking about how to operate your gun. You need to already know that.
Yeah.
And we always stress that the most important thing you can do is train with whatever you have. It doesn't really matter what you have other than high point, but as long as you're training with a gun that you have, I think you'd be able to use it in a pretty messed up situation. So, but that's the review we've got on the Smith & Wesson Equalizer. Like we said, we would 100% recommend it to someone who is interested in getting something like this. If you guys have any further questions about the gun, let us know down in the comments. If you have any requests or recommendations for any other content that we can provide for you guys, let us know in the comment section. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and like and share, and we'll catch you next time.